Hello, 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 friends. Nicholas here with DIVO TED Talks, Devoted Talks, depending on how you want to say it, where we take ancient wisdom and practices through a modern lens and experience to help you and those you love in suffering in your personal and greater worlds alike. And I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to talk about, but it came to me. It's here, and here we go. So, sometimes things aren't meant to be fully fledged before they come into the world, right? There are creatures, case selected species in ecology that are fully fledged, right? There is a design that is good for the world, like it's going to be fine. But there are other ones where it is required that they grow and they have more babies, right? Those that have a design that is just going to be fully fledged when it comes out, like elephants or like giraffes or like deer, right? Their design knows that they survive better if they are ready to operate as fully as possible when they get into the world. Now, they will be trained by their family and they'll learn social skills. But there are other creatures that have a ton of babies and they have a lot in the beginning, and then the strongest survive, and that helps with their species making it through to the next generation and so on and so forth. But their bodies change, they grow wings, they do stuff, right? And so they don't invest as much with it on the front end, so that only those that make it can then move into the world and pass on their genes. Like, it's a different strategy, but it's kind of like with us. Why would we invest tons and tons and tons of money to design a product without knowing whether it's actually ready for the market or not, whether people in the market actually want it or not? In those cases, might it be better to create something, and maybe it's not perfected and maybe it's not been overly refined, and you put it out there and then you make it better as you go. Like with the studio, I started with the bare bones minimum, and then I've made it more and more and more what I wanted it to be, in alignment with the feedback that I was getting from the public and from people who attend here. And so that has been successful for me. Now, there are businesses that have a model that they know works. And so they're like, you have to do from A to Z, and then you just do it, and then it works. And so one isn't better than the other, but it does require different investment of resources to create that. And that's life. It takes all kinds of ways of doing things. But specifically, how are you showing up in the world? Are you trying to make something perfect before you deliver it into the world? But is that what the world wants or needs right now? That's important to know. Or can you take it and put it out as good as you can and then make it better as you go along? Because it might evolve in a way that you weren't expecting. But if you over invest in it on the front end and it's not what's wanted, then you've lost all that money, that resources, and time, right? So it's not about whether you create something good or not. Whatever you create is good, but if it's not valuable to others, then it's not going to go anywhere. And that's the important part. What kind of value are you creating that is a response to things needed in there? That, again, is like genetic variation, putting a bunch or even a few out there with slightly different genetics. And the one that has the best suited genetics is the one that's going to survive, right? Whether you believe in evolution or not, right? That word has a lot of connotations. It is a process that is happening, and it's selective adaptations that allow for the genetics of that particular individual and or multiple individuals to be passed on to the next generation. And so there is a changing of that species, or a changing of that particular subsect of species in relation to the environment, because they're better suited to survive there. And that can shift and change drastically. And so it really depends on the environment as to what is going to be best as an adaptive strategy in that environment. And so what does that mean for us? It means that if you have more of an open way of existing in the world, you're going to have an easier way or an easier life adapting as things shift and change, right? If you are rigid and tight and restricted, you're more likely to break than if you're nice and fluid and really just flexible with all the forces that are going to act upon you. Life is about forces, and they are in opposition to each other sometimes, and they are in accordance with each other sometimes, and they're going to act upon you whether you want them to or not. And so are you going to be able to adapt to them, or are you going to be struck down by them? That's your choice, right? But going back to the species, how much are you investing in being one thing when life is asking for something else? And so then you either have to reverse everything that you've spent all the time and money and energy on, or you can be more flexible on the front end and then become that naturally and organically and over time. Because if it takes time to get to a certain state of being, it will take time for it to shift and change to something else, right? The more time you spend doing and being something, the longer and more resistant to change it will be. And so, are you being rigid? Or are you being fluid and flexible? Are you being stuck or are you being mobile, right? Can you shift and change and move, right? Can you surf and can you ride rather than capture or contain? Only you can answer these things. But different situations require different adaptations. And so, if you have a wider berth of adaptations or ways of showing up, then you're more likely to survive. And that is a beautiful thing, right? Modern life has offered comforts and ways of making life and survival easier. And within that, we then have lost some of our adaptive capabilities. Everybody has. And that can have its own impacts. That doesn't mean that you have to be a certain way. If you're here, you matter. And if you're not here, you did matter when you were here, right? It's not mutually exclusive. Life has space for the things that it needs. And oftentimes the things that it needs are the things that are going to make it more than what it was without it, right? To evolve, there must be a leading edge of creation. To become more, there has to be new questions asked and answered. If we answer all the questions, then there's no need for the game at all. If we find the answer to everything, what would be the point? I don't think there would be. So, the only question you need to worry about right here, right now is how do I be well and be free?